Hello and welcome to Cocktails with a Twist of History, your digital destination for all things cocktails. So, the most labor-intensive cocktail is a cocktail called the Ramos Gin Fizz. It was created in New Orleans in 1888. It's one of the icons of New Orleans. It's fascinating considering that Henry Ramos was not a drinker himself and pressed for a very moderate drinking life. This is opposed to what New Orleans was and actually is now. Before I continue, I want you to send a link of this show to somebody that you know so that they can also enjoy Cocktails with a Twist of History. The Ramos Gin Fizz is a cocktail from Henry Ramos, who owned and managed a bar called the Imperial Cabinet Saloon. The cocktail was originally called the New Orleans Fizz. It's made with gin, but it also has heavy cream, orange flower water, and is most distinguished by the strenuous shaking required to mix it all together and that signature froth on the top. Some recipes estimate that it takes a full 2 minutes to 10 minutes of shaking in order to get it right, and others say the original needed 20 minutes before it could be served. According to legend, the cocktail became such a sensation in New Orleans that Ramos routinely employed at least 20 bartenders working solely on shaking the cocktail. According to this man named Stanley Clisby, who wrote a book called New Orleans Drinks and How to Mix Them, Ramos and his team, quote, shook their arms off and were still unable to keep up with the demand. I'm guessing that's an exaggeration. It was known that in Mardi Gras season of 1915, it was said that Ramos employed 35 bartenders just to keep up with the number of New Orleans fizzes that were ordered. So I created the New Orleans Fizz, or the Ramos Gin Fizz, before. This is what it looks like. We are going to put a little bit of seltzer in here because that is what is needed. The original way that I just created it, it did not have, but it does need some. Let's put in a little bit. And we are going to try it now. It is an interesting cocktail. The lemon and lime comes out very strong. The gin not so much, but it does have that frothy, thing on top that is interesting. You combined all the ingredients except for the soda and the soda water and the ice. You leave it dry first and you shake it for a good full 2 minutes, and then you put the ice in and you shake it again. What this does is that creates the froth. The orange blossom water and the egg whites make it a very unique drink. Some people also include a little bit of vanilla to soften the drink's flavors. The egg whites, when shaken with the cocktail's full ingredients, stiffen to create a frothy texture and a foamy head. Henry Ramos hated drunkenness, and to ensure that there weren't any unruly patrons, the bartenders were ordered to not serve anybody who, quote, appeared drunk or was ungentlemanly. In 1928, New Orleans Tribute states that, quote, nobody could get drunk at the Ramos bar, not only because old Henry wouldn't let them, but because drunkenness would take away from their appreciation of the drinks. It was a culture of quality, not quantity. Henry Ramos became an avid supporter of Prohibition and firmly closed his doors when Prohibition started, and that is not surprising if you understand the man. Even after leaving the alcohol business, Ramos guarded his cocktail recipe until almost his death, revealing it to the New Orleans Tribune only days before he passed away in 1928. He included his recipe that, quote, the secret in the success lies in the good care you take and in your patience, and be certain to use good material. In 1935, the Roosevelt Hotel's Sazerac bar bought the rights to the drink's name, and they wanted people to think that's where the drink was invented. It was true that at the Sazerac bar, Louisiana's own governor, Huey P. Long, fell in love with the drink, and he actually would bring one of Roosevelt's bartenders, a guy named Sam Gorino, on his business trips so that he would never have to go without the New Orleans cocktail. In fact, On a business trip to New York in 1935, Huey Long had Guarino teach the bartenders at the New Yorker Hotel how to make the cocktail and called it his, quote, gift to New York. As always, if you know more pieces of the information, please, you can put it in the comments, you can email it to us, or you can tell it to the bottle. Also, please make sure to subscribe. You can like, you can hit follow so that we can continue to send you issues of Cocktails with a Twist of History. Thank you.